some networking winners. In fact, we're all networking winners here, aren't we? So I checked the Twitter, and we didn't have any blackout submissions. So if you have a blackout bingo card, submit it right now on the interwebs, and I will check it. Do you wanna, if you have a blackout bingo card, bring it up and we'll shuffle them and I'll pick one. Okay?
If you have a blackout.
If you have just one row, we already chose the winners for those because they've been submitted earlier today. Too late, sorry. Yeah, put your name on it. Put your name on it. Okay, so the first winner of our regular 5 in a row bingoing is Jessica Andrews. Is she here? All right, our second winner is Katie Norris. Jessica Andrews and Katie Norris. Come on, winners. Third, Suzanne Day. Oh! Fourth, Jessica Scott. All the Jessicas. Jessica Scott, Jessica Andrews, Katie Norris. And fifth is Hannah Muner. Yay! Hannah Muner? All right, so Hannah, Jessica Andrews, and Katie Norris. I'm going to call your names one more time at the end, and then I'm going to give these bags to the other people. Yes, and if you have a blackout, come put your name on it and submit it right up here right now. What's your name? Buhner. Minor. So, Kara Carter. Kara Carter is a 5 in a row winner. She wants to be in the blackout, I think. Okay, so we've got Jessica Andrews, Katie Norris, Kara Carter.
Well, just say come to the registration desk.
Come to the registration desk to claim your prize at the end of the session. So, blackout winners. These are the people who are going places. These are people who are extremely excellent networkers. They have won the prize before they even won the prize.
Shuffle it behind my back. And then you say right or left.
All right, I say that hand.
I think it's on the top. Oh, unfold it.
The winner is Hannah Miner. Woo! Networking winner of the day. So Kate Norris, Jessica Andrews, and Kara Carter, please claim your prize at the registration desk.
All right. Round of applause to the awesome members of our Women Advisory Council for coming up with that fun networking activity. So I'm going to do that thing where you introduce the person that's then going to introduce the person. So there's that. So a little bit about how I came. So I'm from the outdoor industry. So our speaker today was a known entity to me and somebody who I admired and valued greatly. But I had not considered her as a keynote for the National Forum on Women in Bicycling until members of our Equity Advisory Council recommended her as a leader in the field that they admired, that they felt her story, her style, her panache would really bring something to this day's event. And so because I am so grateful for the Equity Advisory Council, their leadership within the league, their friendship, I thought it appropriate to ask one of the members to introduce Rue. So a little bit about the Equity Advisory Council, or the EAC. It was formed in 2013 to be able to provide input and advice to the League of American Bicyclists as we launched our equity initiative. And then it was because, through their advice and their leadership, they were able to advise both league staff and our board into hiring a manager of the equity initiative. We secured a great grant from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, for which we are incredibly grateful to be able to continue to do this equity work. And so it's my pleasure to bring Equity Advisory Council member Keith Holt of the Wisconsin Bike Federation to the stage.
Oh, no. Wow. So this truly is an honor for me because I'm a big fan of our keynote speaker from afar for a long time, with the work she's done. So, hopefully I don't screw this up. So Rue Mapp is the founder of Outdoor Afro. Outdoor Afro is a social community that reconnects African Americans with their natural spaces and other recreational activities such as camping, biking, hiking, fishing, birding, skiing, and many more. Outdoor Afro is sort of rewriting that false narrative that Black people do not connect to the great outdoors. Working to shift that visible representation of who can connect with the outdoors too. Rue, in her childhood, split her time between Oakland, California, and Northern California, where her family had a ranch up there. She cultivated a passion for natural spaces, farming, and learning how to hunt and fish. As a youth, she participated in the Girl Scouts and Outward Bound. Yay, Outward Bound! Broaden her outdoor experiences such as camping, mountaineering, rock climbing, road bicycling. Yes, she has a little road bike cred. But Rue was troubled by consistently low numbers of African Americans participating in these activities. For 2 decades, she has used digital media as an important and practical tool to connect with people of color who share her outdoor interests, and Outdoor Afro emerged naturally from these experiences. One of the key things that some people have asked me in the last day or two of why it was important to me or what was I a big fan of. And one of the things is this key thing is this outdoor leadership team. And basically what they've done is to grow amount of local African-American leadership to connect and grow that's on that same mission. And I'm just gonna read off a couple of cities because I'm just amazed at it. San Francisco area, Atlanta, Austin, Minneapolis, Los Angeles, my hometown, Chicago, Seattle, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, Ohio, Louisville, and of course, Washington, D.C. Now, of course, I can't do an intro without doing the stats, because everyone's got to show their stats. So here it is. Rue has a BA from the University of California, Berkeley, where she is inspired by her study artistic representation of American forest. In 2010, she was honored to be invited to the White House to participate in America's Great Outdoors Conference, where President Obama signed a historical memorandum to help reconnect all Americans to the great outdoors. And she was invited back to take part in a think tank to inform the launch of the First Lady's Let's Move initiative. And of course, I still have to talk about a little bit of her cred, because how can she possibly speak to this group unless she's got some bicycle cred? And I hope she'll speak about this more, but yes, she does ride a bike. But on top of it, she is a proud board member of the organization Rails to Trails Conservancy. So lastly, I'll close this out by saying she is a proud mother of 3 active kids, still lives in the beautiful San Francisco Bay Area. And of course, her list of things to enjoy, a little bit of hiking, camping, biking, birding, and kayaking. So without further ado, Rue Mapp of Outdoor Afro.
Wow, thank you so much. What a generous introduction. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you all. I especially want to thank you, Keith. That was really lovely and very welcoming, and his welcoming started actually last night over dinner. I also want to thank the League of American Cyclists for putting on this really important conference and this conversation that we're about to have. and especially the Equity Advisory Council. Can I get a show of hands of who these people are? I want to thank you for recommending me to be a part of this conference this year. And Liz Jones, it takes a lot to organize conferences, and she has done a lot behind the scenes to make this happen. Can we give it up for the organizers? Thank you. So in the public speaking world, the afternoon slot is really like not the best time, because you all are tired. You've had a lot of input today. You're probably, ready to wind it up. So let's actually raise the energy in the room, and I'll do it the way I do it with the Outdoor Afro community. So can I get y'all to participate with me? Yeah. So when I say outdoor, you say Afro. Outdoor, Afro. Outdoor, Afro. Whew. Thank you. Feels a little elevated in here. So I just want to introduce you to this little girl. This little girl was me about 40 years ago on her bicycle journey, riding side saddle in her dress. But it was the bike to build a dream on. This tricycle, I think, is familiar to many people here, and began the journey that I'm on today. And I'm still riding tricycles. This time, I'm here in my native Oakland, California. And this picture is really important to me because I'm riding alongside a very important landmark in Oakland. It's Lake Merritt. And Lake Merritt is the home of the oldest bird sanctuary in the country. And what I appreciate about that place is not only is it a very ecologically important place, but it's a place where thousands upon thousands of people live. And it's a reminder of the invitation to take notice and engage with often what is right in our own backyard. And have some fun, too. But this story also began with my family. You all heard about that ranch experience. And it was really incredible that my dad, who migrated to California from Jim Crow South in search of the warmth of other suns, brought along with him a passion for the outdoors. Now, he would have probably never called himself a conservationist or an outdoor recreationist, but he was very much those two things. And at the ranch, it was about 2.5-hour drive from Oakland, I learned all kinds of things that you heard about from my introduction. It was truly my laboratory. I had a chance to observe the life cycle of a tadpole into a frog. I was able to ride my bike, and by 8 or 9 years old, I had a 10-speed. I was able to ride that bike along country roads without a car in sight and see stars at night that I couldn't see back home in Oakland. But it was more than connecting to nature what made this place special. What really activated that ranch were the people. In this picture, you see my father in the center with his amazing afro, and he's celebrating his retirement party, and we have around us a bunch of family and friends. The place up there was this container where family and friends came together to celebrate, to connect deeply with one another. And it was something that I had a chance to witness from a very early age, just how people could experience wonder of just getting out of the city, getting out of their familiar surroundings, and connecting deeply with each other in the context of nature. So hosting people in nature was definitely a part of my life from a very, very young age, and I thank my parents who are no longer living, who continue to live through this work. And I was able to build on the outdoor experiences that I had through more formal types of engagement. So I was a Girl Scout, and I love my Oakland Park and Recreation District events, but I decided I was ready for a bigger challenge. About 19 years old, I decided to go on an outward bound mountaineering course. I had never rock climbed before, and I found myself on the Pacific Crest Trail with about 8 or 9 other brave souls. And I was tasked to, practice my rock climbing skills. And for one night, we were actually going to camp at the summit of a mountain. And I had looked over my packing list for this trip, and And I saw that there was a headlamp and a flashlight. I'm thinking to myself, I don't need both. I have a flashlight, and I want to, save some dollars. Little did I know you actually need both hands to climb. And the flashlight and the teeth thing was not going to work. So there I was, the first one up to climb, because we had to take advantage of the light that was available so that I could see. And I was so slow, and I was very afraid, and found myself about midway up this mountain, and I froze. And I started to break down, and I didn't think that I could make it. I couldn't see anymore. The sun had gone down on the other side of the mountain, and so there I was with that rock, starfished against it. And in the moment where I thought I couldn't go on any further, my instructor called from the top, and he said, "Rue, trust your feet." And there was something about his words that gave me that little bump of faith to trust my feet, and I scrambled to the top. And it was in that moment, after all of these years of connecting to nature, that I understood nature as a powerful teacher. And trusting my feet, trusting who I was to carry me forward, that I could dig deep and get there, was exactly the lesson I needed to learn at 19 years old on the precipice of adulthood. And then around that same time, there was the World Wide Web that was on the scene, and I had a dial-up connection. I don't know about you all when you got on, but those POP connections and all of that painful configuration just to get to a Usenet group were really daunting, but I loved it. And I loved using the web to find people, because by this time I had the bug. I wanted to find people who looked like me or had a passion that was similar to mine for the outdoors. And I found organizations like the Women's Mountain Biking and Tea Society. And I found the Grizzly Peak Cyclists in Berkeley, California. And I was really thrilled to find these communities of cyclists and mountain bikers. But one of the things I noticed is that when I show up, I'd be the only African American on those trips. And sometimes, especially in the early days, I didn't feel as prepared. I didn't have the right gear. I had, a bike that was not that great, with not as many gears as everyone else's. And sometimes it would be a little embarrassing because my performance would be a lot slower than some people who were twice my age, who were getting up hills a lot faster than I could. So I was later delighted to find a group of African American cyclists. Fancy that. I found this group called the Oakland Yellow Jackets. And when I saw these African American women with their, campy components and their lycra, hitting just right on the backside, I knew that I had found my people. And it was fantastic, it was the first time that I had just, took a ride with them, and I remember I just grinned from ear to ear, that feeling that I was a part of something and I was around people who looked like me. And I just want to share this. This is the bike. We all have our favorite bike, and this was my beater bike. This is a Bridgestone MB3. They don't make them like this anymore. And I stripped it all the way down because one of the things that I realized as I got more into biking, that it was becoming a lot of work, that I didn't want to change my shoes every time. I didn't want to change my clothes every time. I wanted to be able to just get on my bike and ride, just like I did up at that ranch, just like I did when I was 4 years old. And so I just stripped the bike down and made it fun and made it into something that I can just get on and go to the store. In about 2009, social media hit the scene. And social media was a very different experience online for most of us. It was no longer about those dial-up connections or the World Wide Web for that matter. It was a chance to really engage more deeply, more strategically with people. And back then, the algorithm was such that it was truly a level playing field. You did not have to pay to play. And so I was able, through Outdoor Afro, to connect with people around the country from the comfort of my own home and have this conversation about who's getting outdoors and to start talking about my own story. And I was thrilled to find even more African Americans who were engaged with bicycling. And this is a shot from Red Bike and Green. Any Red Bike and Greener people in here? Yay, hi. And this was a group that I felt was yet another homecoming for me to participate with, because they were folks who were on these fixies riding through the streets of East Oakland, that the city was the destination and not a place to get away from, and that there was, so much fun and safety to be had in number. I also learned through social media about figures that I had never known about before. This is Major Taylor, and there are several bike clubs around the country who are named from him. Can I get a shout out for Major Taylor, bicyclist in the room? I mean, this guy, was a 1 mile racing champion around the turn of the century. And so through social media, I was getting to know a little bit more about my history and really helping to inform the conversation that we're having today. And that is, not only are we in nature and are we participating on trails and other through other outdoor recreation pursuits, but we always have. And how can we reconnect with that past is what I've been presented with. I've also had the chance to engage with institutions, conversations, national conversations about the importance of connecting people to trails. And I'm proud, as you heard before, to serve on the Rails to Trails Conservancy. Keith, thank you. I really appreciate the chance to not only talk about, where trails should go, but what resources are available, in what proportions, and how are trails really in service of communities that they are in. And so from these experiences, I decided to start organizing some bike rides of our own to help address some of these issues. And this is one bike ride we did in Richmond, California, along the Richmond Greenway, called Wheelin' the Watershed. And we actually started from the mountain and wheeled all the way along our creeks to the San Francisco Bay to talk about our watershed and the human impact we were having on that watershed, and to celebrate the trails along the way. And here's the Richmond Greenway Trail. And the thing that's really important about this trail is that it's a community hub. It's not just a place to drive through, but it's a place to hang out a while, to appreciate the gardens that are there, and to stop and to have a meal. And in this case, we actually did have a chance to enjoy some of the harvest there. And what's significant about this area is that it is affected, like so many urban communities, by a drought, if you will, of healthy food. And so this was I felt, a creative expression of trails that, not only are about active transport, but also to address a very important community need. And as you heard, we have decided to expand our concept of leadership in the outdoors. And so I put out a call back in 2011 via social media, and I said, hey, anyone want to be an Outdoor Afro leader? And about 12 people said yes. Since then, we have grown that number slowly, but we have deepened our training module to include bringing people together in one place for training, where we talk about risk management, we talk about relevant engagement, and also the important thing about this group is that it recognizes the diversity within the diversity, the recognition that the African American experience and its access to natural places and recreational opportunities are going to be different depending on what part of the country you're in. It's going to be different in Seattle than it is in Austin, than it is in the Bay Area or Los Angeles. And so what you see before you are people who not only represent that regional diversity, but they're also professionals who come from all walks of life. There's a human rights attorney in there, a midwife, an accountant. And all these people, while they may show up professionally in a number of ways, they all share in common a fire in their belly to connect people to nature. And we couldn't do this work without our partners, and a couple of them are in the room. And these are not folks who just write a check. These are people who provide us the kind of skill building and expertise. For instance, REI comes into our training, and they help deliver risk management best practices that they have finely tuned to their outdoor school. Can we get a shout out for REI? Hi. So I'm very grateful for all of these partners who really are the wind beneath our leadership's wings. The other thing that really surprised us when we started off with Outdoor Afro was who was coming, like who were coming to the events, who was a part of the conversation. And what surprised me is that we were connecting to amplifiers. We were connecting to women, and the majority of them African-American women between the ages of 35 and 44. And these are people who had not been spoken to before. There's this model that we're all very comfortable with of going and grabbing kids from their community and taking them someplace far away. But the story often stops when they get home, and it doesn't include often their family and their community. So what we found were African-American women were coming with their children, they were coming sometimes with their parents, and we were finding, sometimes 2 and 3 generations on our experiences. And what that signaled for us is this opportunity for sustainability, that it wasn't going to be just about us. It was about us sharing some way, some pathway that people can be engaged and that they would be empowered to do so on their own. And I'm going to run through some photos of some inspiration from the Outdoor Afro community around the country. And what I love about this picture is that it exemplifies the proximity of our opportunity to connect people in to recreation. So, here we have kayaks in the front and skyscrapers in the back in Chicago. And the other thing that's been very important for us is to check in with people at the end of these experiences. It doesn't require a survey monkey to find out how things worked or didn't work for people. So we just do a simple circle, and I ask for one word. And in this particular hike, we've been doing a series of Outdoor Afro after-work hikes. This woman, she said, "I feel free." Now, I don't know what this woman was going through. I don't know what her life is like. But it was that moment that I realized that it wasn't about the hike. It was about how that experience served her life and the opportunity we have to help people connect in deeply with whatever it is, whatever lessons they need to learn, just like I did on the side of that mountain. If you remember that picture in the beginning of my family, this is what a typical Outdoor Afro event looks like at the end. We always stick our flag in it. But these are people who didn't know each other before going on a hike together. But as you know, when you're on that bike ride and you climb those mountains together, or when you're at the end of that trail, there is a bond there between those people. And people want, especially now, even though we have so many ways to connect in with each other, people really want to feel connected to community. And this is one platform for it to happen. We also provide a platform for people to take healthy risks. 40 people showed up for the American River in California to do what most had never done, and that was to camp and to whitewater raft. So having people come together in safe environments can really inspire people to push their own sense of boundaries, and the satisfaction that came with that was really inspiring for me. I also push back against the narrative about what black people do and don't do. Sometimes from my own folks, they'll say, black people don't camp. We don't do stuff in the outdoors. And then I say, well, what about fishing? Everybody's got a story about fishing. Everybody's got a story about a grandfather, a father, or someone who fished in their family. And the eyes soften, and then we start talking. So again, it's about connecting in with family narrative and the things that people really do. And I say, hey, that counts. That's outdoors too. We also like to not just run fast through places, but to take our time and take close looks. And this is another fun picture. This guy right here, he's got a banana slug in his hand. He looks 4 years old. again. But my point here is that adults need wonder too. So let's remember, as we're thinking about our engagement, that adults are a necessary part of the mix and who get so much value themselves. And this is the look of a mother and daughter experiencing play in the snow for the first time. In California, we travel to the snow. I just have to clarify that. For some of you all like, oh, big deal, but no, we really have to work hard to get to the snow. And then conservation, of course, is a part of this continuum that we're on. And it's important for us that we're not simply getting people to get out into these places and spaces to clean them up or to repair them without first having a relationship with that place. So this is a trail that we frequently hike on. It's Sibley, part of the East Bay Regional Park District's trail. And it makes a lot of sense once people have a relationship to a place that they would want to steward it. And so I always encourage people to make sure, especially when you're taking youth out to engage with a place, that they've actually played at that beach first or skipped along that trail. Oftentimes, you know, it's a first-time experience for people to engage with places when they're asked to clean them, and we should rethink that invitation. And then also, sometimes it's not about just getting out and being active, but it's about just coming together around a fire to tell your story. And that's what human beings have done from time eternal. And, you know, as you all know, the outdoors has also been a platform for protest, especially in these last 6 months after the series of verdicts and grand jury determinations that have sparked a lot of emotion in the street. And certainly in my work, I've asked, you know, myself, you know, what is my response? What is Outdoor Afro's response? And you know, and I'm not judging the ways that people show up in protest, but I knew that for me, I was not going to take to the streets. And there was a lot of energy and activity and arrests happening in my native Oakland. So, you know, after some careful reflection, I thought about it and decided, you know, I do nature. That's what I do. And I want people to come out in nature and heal. So a call to action was sent out among our partners to do healing hikes in locations around the country. And in this case, we started a healing hike with some yoga that was facilitated. And we went into the redwoods. And we went down into the redwoods along a stream. And, you know, in the old spiritual, we knew that we could lay down our burdens down by the riverside. And we discharged together. People of all backgrounds came together, and we just discharged our really complex and diverse feelings. And then we made commitments on our way out of that valley about what we were going to do, you know, how we were going to show up in the world to promote healing. And it was phenomenal, and we've been proud of the ways that other organizations, such as the Sierra Club, this healing hike happened just a few weeks ago in Colorado. And I invite you all to do your own healing hike. It's a wonderful way to neutralize a lot of the tension that we're all feeling. And I know that for African Americans, you know, you get out into nature and the trees don't know you're black. The birds don't know. And so it's a phenomenal way to just release those pressures that we sometimes don't even know we're carrying in our day-to-day lives. And as you all know, this is also the 50th anniversary of Selma, and I'm so proud of the ways that people have shown up. I think there are a number of people here in this room who were there via bike. And it's just another reminder that it may not be the method itself, the biking itself, but it's the value and the importance of showing up when we're needed and to remember important movements and to carry those movements forward. So there are a few things we've learned. Relevance is really everything. And what I mean by relevance, it means getting to know what people's values are. You know, what does it matter that people, you know, get out on a bike? For some people, it's not about the biking. Oftentimes, people come to Outdoor Afro because they want to meet someone new. They're new in town. They want to explore the area. Maybe they have some fitness or weight loss goals. So find out what people want and work backwards from those values before making assumptions or assuming what you have as a product is the end goal. It might surprise you, especially when you ask and help to build those relationships. Partnerships are very important. We couldn't do our work without partnerships, but when we think about partnerships, it's not just about a transaction. It's not just about inviting people to your event. It's about being at the ground floor of planning together what partnership can look like. And also making sure that we're lifting up organizations that are already effective in doing the work. Do I have Black Girls Do Bike in the room? No? Okay, great. Major Taylor. Any other relevant organizations that are connecting with people of color? Can you shout them out? Which one? All right. Who else? Great. Any more? Cycles of Change. Any more? Okay, so these are the organizations that are out doing the work and are worthy of our support. And then finally, this work is about the long view. This is not about what can happen within a grant year. This is about generational change. It's the kind of change that's subtle, like as subtle as the fact that we're not in here smoking cigarettes. Probably can't do it in any bars or restaurants around here, around the country for that matter. But for that to have happened, it took a whole generation of change. It is that quiet moment. We'll know when our work is done, not because there's going to be a parade down Main Street or there's balloons falling from the sky. It'll be that moment where we will look up and we will see people out engaged with all kinds of recreational activities, including biking. And they're doing it in a way that serves themselves and their communities in a relevant way in proportion to their population and their opportunity. And it will be no big deal. Thank you very much.
So how many people were like writing notes and saying like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do a healing bike? That was sort of what I thought that was so cool. So thank you, Rue. A couple of lasting thoughts. One of the things that we learned in Outward Bound, my fellow OB alum, what up? Is that you always make sure that you take the time to reflect when you've had a really big learning experience. And so I was so full disclosure, transparency, it's important. Being humble, being honest is important. We're trying to leave the little pieces of paper that we used at lunch to use later, and they've disappeared, which is totally fine. But if you have something to scribble on or to make a little note in your phone, or maybe you're going to tweet it out, I want you to think about three things, because I was thinking about the red, yellow, and green and what we could take away from today. First, thank you to my amazing colleagues at the League that have tirelessly supported this event today. They've been really behind the scenes, but actually making this smoothly, so a round of applause to League staff. Thank you to the staff at the Renaissance. Shout out to Lauren, what's up? They have been incredibly helpful and giving of their time and resources and in pulling us off, and so I'm very, very grateful for their help today as well. So reflecting. So we have this imaginary green card and this imaginary yellow card and this imaginary red card in front of you. Maybe make a box or something on your piece of paper. And for the red card, I want you to think of something that after what you learned today, something that you're going to stop doing. Okay, so one of the things that I had to stop doing when I got the bicycling advocacy job at the National Bike Organization, having never worked in bicycling advocacy before, is I had to stop feeling like an imposter. because I heard something, and I can't really attribute the quote, but it's really helped me. I learned something like crazy people don't think they're crazy. Well, people that have imposter syndrome actually aren't imposters. So I just take it and I own it. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm feeling that way, it's probably because I actually have something to offer, and it's a little scary, but it's cool. I'm going to put it out there. So that was my stopping, is I'm going to stop feeling like an imposter in space. I have something to offer. So think about what you're going to stop doing based on what you learned today. For the yellow card, I want you to think about, we talked a lot about like absorbing the knowledge and thinking about like, what are you going to go look up on Google after today and learn more about? Is this an organization you learned about? Is it a term that you learned for the first time? How are you going to expand your knowledge and be able to bring that back to serve your community? And then the green thing is, what are you going to do more of? One thing that I really brought into today was that I was going to make sure that I took the time to recognize the women colleagues and support that I've had in my professional career, and make sure that I am being intentional about being available to them in that same way. So that's something that I'm going to do more of after this conference, because I have certainly felt the love from my women bike colleagues and peers and friends today. So after you have absorbed that, so you could tweet it out. That would be really fun. Social media would love that. And we trended today. Women Bike trended today, which I thought was really cool. So good job. So as you leave here today, keep those notes and refer back to them as your year progresses, because I promise you, some of the things that you learned today, they won't pop up for you until days, weeks, months down the line. But this is like Christmas, right? Or like whatever, high holiday that you have, that you celebrate. This is like the big day. And somebody this morning was like, it's like your wedding day today. So it's very easy to have like a lot of energy around today, right? But the value in these events and what you all spent your valuable resources to attend, of which I'm incredibly grateful, is what you take from it and what you're able to put into action when you leave. So hopefully that little reflection exercise allows you to continue to be the amazing actors in this thing that we're calling the bicycle movement. So thank you again. I look forward to seeing the rest of you throughout the week that are staying for the day 2 and 3 of the National Bike Summit. And for those that are departing, travel safe. We love you. We're so happy you're here. And we can't wait to hear more of the amazing work you're doing to get more women on bikes. Thank you.